where you're at now, 6 years where you've delivered the product to folks, you're looking at getting it so they can be manufactured to scale. What does success look like now for Trella Technologies?
It's simple progress. Are we better than we were the day before? And have we learned, from our mistakes? It's progress. I don't. We have quantifiable goals, but those are not what we tie towards success because our goals are lofty. We're valued at a multi-million-dollar company. We have revenue goals that are in the millions of dollars, and that's not something that you just snap your fingers and achieve overnight. So if I use that as success, I would be heartbroken and depressed all the time. So what I have to do instead is just go, okay, are you better at marketing this month than you were last month? Yeah, good. Do you have are you doing better with engagement and interacting with more customers than you were last month? Yes, great. Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep moving.
So we released this in beta, and then we started bringing slowly in more hosts. Yeah. And at the same time, because of my background, Facebook, Twitter, I've done a lot of social stuff. I immediately thought we need a community, and that community is going to inform not only the product, that community is actually also going to inform the business model, right? Because we want to make this for this community, and that's the only way you win is by going to your customer first before we even built it, so we didn't waste a bunch of money. And what I mean by business model is we work on a commission model with hosts. So there's no subscription fee because this is pretty much a new consumer behavior. And not only that, hosts are on seasonal margins. And we put all of this information out there into the internet to ask hosts and property managers what they wanted. Every single day of this entrepreneurial journey, I have felt like I am cramming for a finals exam in the best possible way. I mean, learning has been through the roof. And I think that's really important, is to not think I should know everything. I have gotten off so many calls and Googled what that acronym means, right? As soon as I get off the call, what does it mean? And I think I answered it decently. I think I knew what it was. But what I like to say in this entrepreneurial journey is, if you're not embarrassed by who you were a year ago, you're not learning enough.
I think what's really important is when you kind of step back and you do that foundational work and you really figure out who you're doing this for and why, it's so much bigger than you. So all of a sudden, like, you putting yourself out there, me being here, is not about me or my ego. It's about the value that I want to bring to others and what I hope to do in bigger picture wise. So you can take yourself out of it. You can kind of get over yourself, is what I say. Get over yourself and remember who you're doing this for and why. And all of a sudden it's like, yeah, why wouldn't people want to get involved with this? They're lucky to get involved with this, and let's all get together and create something special.
There are a lot of assumptions that are made that have to be made when you're starting a new company, right? You can't possibly do a deep dive and be an expert in all of the things around your product and around your company. And one of the default assumptions we find is, I have to go overseas to make this. When startups and companies engage with Forge, we want whatever's best for you. So if you go overseas, that's fine. But we like to open the door to, have you considered doing this locally? If our listeners are in Massachusetts, which is where Forge currently has 3 offices in our main footprint, there are over 7,000 manufacturers right here in Massachusetts. And not everyone knows that. So we do a lot of helping startups think through how they source their supply chain and sort of debunking some wrong assumptions. So some of the advantages to doing it locally, at the prototyping stage, it's incredibly powerful when you're iterating to just be able to drive over, see it come off the line, communicate directly.
I actually see failure and missteps as a way to grow and to uncover the true path to success. It's inevitable that you're going to make mistakes. The question is, do you have the right mindset to work through them and to fix them and to pivot or iterate or do whatever you need to do to get past it? I'm going to share some mistakes. The first one is the one that I think a lot of entrepreneurs make, and that's that it didn't raise enough money. And I remember a good friend of mine who's a serial entrepreneur, and now he's a coach to startups. He told me, he said, look, every single startup that he counsels, he tells them, you're going to need twice as much money and it's going to take twice as long as you think. And I'm thinking to myself, I raised money right out the gate. It's just, we're going to be like a unicorn. It's going to be a lot easier. But no, it's quite true. You should raise probably 2 to 3 times as much as you need. And if you're trying to launch a business now headed into a recession, you probably want to have enough of a runway for 3 years.
And in the coffee, she said to me, I always had this idea for a business. And I kind of grab it, as you would have done, Andy, and go, yeah, what happened to it? And she said, well, I'm going to be 60 next year. And I said, yeah. And she said, well, people retire, don't they? And I think it was a year younger. And I said, well, I'm going to work for another 20 or 30 years. And she said later, I looked at you and thought, you can work for another 20 or 30 years. Work for another 20 or 30 years. That was literally it. And it switched a button in her head to say, I can carry on. She was really senior, and she didn't get there without being quite competitive. Coffee turned into lunch. By the end of the lunch, we had launched her business.